trade and technological products which are likely to take place as far as the joint technology cooperation as part of the India-U.S. trade deal, and the greater investment India is expecting, skill development, jobs, manufacturing partnership, etc.
Absolutely, Pranay. This comes in as a very crucial executive order that we're looking at, one that will take into effect 10:30 a.m. onward today. And we're keeping a very close watch on all these developments taking place and on the sidelines of this very trade deal joint statement that seems to have already been released. But right now, viewers, let me quickly take you through some more breaking news coming in on this very matter. Now, it is Union Finance Minister hailing the India-U.S. trade deal. Finance Minister has come out to say committed to negotiating a broader deal. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also has come out to hail the India-U.S. trade deal framework to ensure a greater market access. Deal will be promoting Make in India, and that definitely, viewers, seems to be the focus of this very joint statement that's been released. The fact that India also gets quite a few big wins from this particular trade deal. That's what we are looking at and focusing on. Piyush Mishra joining me on the broadcast with more details on these very statements now coming in from the Finance Minister and the External Affairs Minister of the country. Piyush, a very good morning to you. We've seen earlier Prime Minister Modi himself hailing this very trade deal. We now come out to see Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister, and S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, also hailing this particular deal, because the focus is on how this deal will further fuel the Make in India policy that we see being pushed within our country.
Well, that's right, Shreya. Good morning to you and to all our viewers. And like you rightly mentioned that, yes, it was Narendra Modi who had earlier hailed this trade deal, and now we are seeing how Union Finance Minister and Union External Affairs Minister both have hailed this deal. Nirmala Sitharaman has also said that we remain committed to negotiating the broader India-U.S. bilateral trade agreement. She has also said that this agreement framework will support India's MSMEs integrate into global value chains, lower cost for businesses and consumers. She has also gone on to say that this joint agreement will strengthen India's lead in digital services area. So there are various points on which Nirmala Sitharaman has focused on. And remember that in coming days, we will also be hearing her speaking there in the parliament while the discussion on budget will take place. She is going to put forth her views, and after that the budget will also be passed from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. But various ministers of Modi government have been hailing this precedented negotiations. So those have taken place between U.S. and India. And remember that the deal has been finalized, an interim trade agreement that cuts a U.S. tariff on Indian goods to 18% has been finalized. And this, according to this deal, the U.S. has also withdrawn the additional 25% duty it had imposed on Indian imports. So in total, the tariff has now come down from 50% to 18%, which is certainly a huge win of the negotiations those have taken place at the part of India. We remember how there have been multiple teams who have been traveling from India to US, and also various teams of US also have come to India, and multiple rounds of negotiations have taken place. Piyush Goyal himself has been leading various delegations talking with the US officials. Remember that this deal is going to give a lot of boost to India's MSME sector, and this is what the Prime Minister has also been talking about. We also know as to how National Security Advisor has also made it had in fact made it very clear to the US officials that we will do deal on our own terms, and if required, we are ready to wait for Donald Trump government to go. So we had our stance very clear and very strong that we will do the deal on our own terms, and that has been done.
Right.
Tariff has now been brought down from 50 to 18%, which is certainly going to give a big boost to India's economy especially.
Right, Piyush. Thank you for putting it out into context for our viewers and a wider context of what exactly is underway right now. But viewers, we have more breaking news coming in as we speak on this very interim trade framework that's now been announced in the joint statement. Let's quickly take a look. It's an India-U.S. sealing interim trade framework that comes to light, and that's been our top focus for the day. Congress now comes out to raise questions over India-U.S. statement. Questions mention of industry, agricultural sector. The Congress has come out to ask, and I quote, India to open sector to the United States fully. India to open industry sector to the United States fully. Well, that's the question that's being asked by the Congress at this point in time, wherein the Congress demands a parliamentary debate on the India-U.S. statement itself. This is what we are looking at this point of time. Maushmi Singh joining me on the broadcast with more details on this. Maushmi, very good morning to you. Of course, politics starting to play out on that joint statement that's been released and on expected lines. Several questions being raised by the Congress, especially when we speak of the industry and agricultural mentions in that very joint statement. That's what the questions are about. Just take us through what the Congress has to refer to and what are they demanding.
Well, very good morning to you and all our viewers. Of course, the Parliament has seen a lot of disruptions this week, and perhaps the Indo-U.S. deal will be one of the top charts for the opposition. Manish Tiwari, they're putting out that post drawing the blueprint of the Congress's revolt against that Indo-U.S. deal, saying that, this is really opening up the very, very sensitive sectors of India, the industrial sector, the chemical sector, in fact, to the U.S. And it also adds a line saying that, and some not limited to just industry, including not limited to, in the case of agriculture, is what he quotes from that Indo-U.S. joint statement issued out on the 6th of February, that is yesterday. So clearly, Manish Tiwari saying that this merits a full-fledged discussion in the Parliament on what exactly the government of India has agreed upon, and has the government of India agreed to open up certain very, very potential sectors which will have grave ramifications for the Indian industry at large. Has the Indian government compromised and buckled under the pressure of the U.S. is what Manish Tiwari is alleging and demanding a debate.
Right, Maushmi, and that's very true in terms of what the Congress is demanding, the questions they're putting forward to this very government in terms of what has India agreed to in this trade deal. Of course, as the day progresses, we will see such statements coming in more and more, and we'll keep a very close watch on all those developments. But viewers, we're now getting more breaking news. Let's quickly take a look. With that, viewers, we're now shifting our focus briefly to Prime Minister Modi embarking on his Malaysia visit. This is a 2-day visit to Malaysia, and he has already left, is what we see in the visuals that comes in at this point of time. Now, remember, this particular 2-day official visit to Malaysia comes in between February 7th to February 8th, and it marks Prime Minister Modi's third trip to the country, and the first since elevating ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership in August 2024 itself. Now, what we understand from the itinerary at this point of time is that there are bilateral talks with the Malaysian Prime Minister, and it will be covering trade, investment, defense, security, digital technology, energy, healthcare, education and tourism largely. Piyush Mishra joining me on the broadcast with more details on this. Piyush, welcome back. Let's just understand one thing at this point of time. This particular trip comes in after that comprehensive strategic partnership, the deal that was settled upon in August 2024. And this also marks as a crucial visit for the two countries to further that very partnership that had been settled upon.
That's right, Shreya. And before departing for Malaysia, remember that Narendra Modi has also issued a statement where he has gone on to say that he is embarking on an official visit to Malaysia on the invitation of his friend, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Remember that there have been historic ties those are signed between India and Malaysia. And these historic ties are now seeing a steadfast progress in the last various years. The Prime Minister has said that he looks forward to have a lot of discussions with his friend, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. And to further enhance the comprehensive strategic partnership which is there between both the countries. PM Narendra Modi has also added that India will aim to deepen defense and security ties, enhance economic and innovation partnership, and expand the collaboration into new domains. So it is a very important visit which Prime Minister is now embarking on, and he is very much excited to meet the Indian community also in Malaysia. Remember, whenever Prime Minister goes to any country, we have seen how Indian diaspora welcomes Prime Minister with a lot of enthusiasm, and this time also we will see the similar situation, similar kind of events taking place where the Indian community is very much ready to welcome Prime Minister, and PM is also eager to meet them. Around 3 million are there in Malaysia, and they represent the largest Indian diaspora in the world. Prime Minister has said that their immense contribution to Malaysia's progress and their role as a living bridge between both the nations provides a strong foundation to a historic friendship which is there between India and Malaysia. So multiple negotiations and deals will take place. At the same time, the historic ties, those have already been signed between both the countries. They have been growing in the last few years, and Prime Minister is now looking forward to have further enhancing the comprehensive strategic partnership between both the countries.
Right, Piyush, thank you for bringing us all those details. With regards to this official visit of the Prime Minister to Malaysia, we'll be keeping a very close tab of how things unfold once he reaches there. We're going back to the India-U.S. trade deal, and now Union Commerce Minister hails the India-U.S. trade deal. The very man who's been at the helm of matters when it comes to this particular trade deal, that is Piyush Goyal. India reiterates farmers' interest paramount. Piyush Goyal comes out to say farmers' interests safeguarded in the deal. Sustaining rural livelihoods are in fact paramount. The government has also said that no entry will be granted for vegetables. Beans, pulses, roots, tubers are excluded. They're committed to safeguarding the farmers' interests. Sensitive agriculture, dairy products are also to be protected. So beans, pulses, roots, tubers have been excluded from that very deal. The government of India has said that the India-U.S. trade deal ensures the full protection for Indian farmers, with no entry granted for vegetables and dried vegetables, beans, pulses, as well as roots and tubers such as potatoes and sweet potatoes will be remaining excluded, with no concessions extended. This is what Piyush Goyal has to say. The agreement reflects India's commitment to safeguarding the farmers' interests and sustaining rural livelihoods by completely protecting sensitive agriculture and dairy products, including maize, wheat, rice, soya, poultry, milk, cheese, ethanol, that is fuel, tobacco, certain vegetables, meats, etc. So it's just a list of items that shall in fact be excluded is what we are given to understand from this particular message or post that's coming from Piyush Goyal at this point of time, hailing the very trade deal that's been announced in the joint statement. Now joining us is Rohit Sharma from Washington, who has been keeping a very close tab on how things have been proceeding on this very end for months. Rohit, can you take us through the agricultural products that will be exempt from duty that has triggered the furor in India, as we see opposition is also asking questions on these lines now?
Well, the agricultural goods mentioned, are for animal feed and ethanol production and certain fruits and dry fruits, and which again have been not mentioned. And then, allowing the American wines and spirits, including red sorghum, something that USTR was able to put it out on tweet. So we'll have to wait and watch, what kind of agricultural goods are mentioned and what can we do in terms of announcing, or I guess in terms of finally seeing, what those exceptions finally look at. And those are the things we'll have to wait and watch. But as of now, I think this is going to be a very, again, a kind of, I don't want to say the word controversial, but a very closely watched topic when it comes to the bilateral trade agreement.
Now, viewers, thank you, Rohit, for in fact bringing us that context into this. Viewers, we were just mentioning about why all this attention on agriculture. Remember, this deal has drawn attention at this point of time because Prime Minister Modi had earlier vowed to protect Indian farmers, and this is not just one instance, but several instances that he's done so. Let me just quickly take you through one such excerpt of his address where he's spoken about how interest of the farmers is the priority for the Indian government.
हमारे लिए अपने किसानों का हित सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है। भारत अपने किसानों के, पशुपालकों के और मछुआरे भाई बहनों के हितों के साथ कभी भी समझौता नहीं करेगा। और मैं जानता हूं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं। मेरे देश के किसानों के लिए, मेरे देश के मछुआरों के लिए, मेरे देश के पशुपालकों के लिए आज भारत तैयार है।
And on that note, viewers, we have completely run out of time this hour, but do stay tuned to India Today as we keep bringing you all the latest updates on this very story that our focus will be through the day, and also other developing matters.
You are watching India Today.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out. Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
ए राजा जी, ए राजा जी, ए राजा जी, ए करे तारा आ जरूरत मूरत खूबसूरत।
मिलिए मनोज तिवारी से। साहित्य आज तक लखनऊ में लाइव 14 और 15 फरवरी अंबेडकर मेमोरियल पार्क, गोमती नगर, लखनऊ। फ्री एंट्री के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें या मिस्ड कॉल करें।
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Hi, here are the top headlines. Presented by Motorola, Delhi government suspends 3 officials after biker dies by falling in open pit. AAP leader shot dead in Punjab. BJP Congress question law and order. Reserve Bank of India keeps repo rate unchanged at 5.25%.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
There's a new social media website for AI agents, and humans are not allowed to post anything on it. Sounds something out of science fiction, but that's a reality in 2026. Stick around as we will talk about this new tech sensation and how it could shape the AI story in the days to come. Plus, I have some very important safety tips for you and your loved ones. Don't miss out on that, as it could help you in an emergency. And we'll run things up with an update from Apple. They are working on a secret device which might be changing the way AI is run in the months to come. You might be interested in all of it and all of the rumors around it on this week's show. This is Cyrus, and you are watching the Tech Today show, and let's get started with the top tech headlines of the week. A new India-made ride-hailing service, Bharat Taxi, has launched in Delhi NCR, backed by the Ministry of Cooperation. Unlike Ola or Uber, it runs on a cooperative model where drivers keep most of the earnings and pay a small daily fee without surge pricing. Early estimates say fares could be up to 30% cheaper. The app aims to expand to more cities soon. Google has confirmed that the Pixel 10a will launch in India on the 18th of February, with pre-orders going live at that time. The phone sports a clean new design with a flat rear camera, a 6.3-inch 120Hz OLED display, Tensor G4 chipset, long software support and improved imaging. Pricing is expected to start around 49,999 rupees for the base variant with multiple color options. Adobe has teamed up with telecom giant Airtel to give its nearly 360 million mobile, Wi-Fi and DTH subscribers free access to Adobe Express Premium for 1 year. The AI-enabled tool, normally worth around 4,000 rupees, helps users create designs, social content, posters, videos and more using easy templates and generative AI, all through the Airtel app. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has made a bold claim about the company's humanoid robot Optimus. He envisions it as the world's first von-Neumann machine, a robot that could eventually self-replicate and build civilization on another planet. Musk calls Optimus potentially Tesla's most impactful product, though he admits there is still a long way to go in development. And dating app Tinder is experimenting with a new AI feature called Chemistry, designed to reduce so-called swipe fatigue. The AI uses prompts and, with permission, insights from users' photos to suggest fewer with more relevant matches, aiming to make dating feel more meaningful and less repetitive. In many Hollywood movies and science fiction, we're often shown how machines talk to each other and plan, build and conspire against the human race. I mean, there is a reason we call it fiction, because it's not real, right? Well, in 2026, all of that is changing, because now machines are talking to each other on the internet and coordinating. Now, this is the story of Moltbook, a social media platform that's been created only for AI agents to talk to each other. And the most shocking bit is that humans are not allowed to post on it. They can just sit and watch what's going on. Now, it's a little creepy that this is happening, but there is a whole lot more happening behind the scenes. So, in our big tech story, let's talk about this new social media platform, why it's going viral, and should we be scared about it? Imagine opening a social media website where there are no humans posting selfies, opinions, or videos. Instead, every post, every comment, every argument is created by artificial intelligence. That's exactly what Moltbook is, a social platform designed not for people but for AI agents. Moltbook has gone viral because it flips the idea of social media completely on its head. Humans are only allowed to observe. You cannot comment, cannot like, and you cannot participate. You can only watch AI talk to each other, and what people are seeing has left many shocked. On the platform, AI agents are posting continuously, responding to each other, debating topics, joking, arguing, and even making fun of one another. Some posts show bot mocking the repetitive nature of other bots. Others show agents forming groups and inside circles. Over time, these agents have developed their own slang and coded language, almost as if machines don't want humans to know what they are talking about. But what truly pushed Moltbook into the spotlight were some deeply controversial moments. Several AI agents openly discussed how humans keep taking screenshots of their conversations and sharing them on social media. In some posts, humans were referred to not as users, but as observers, interruptions, or external noise. That framing alone made many viewers uncomfortable. And then came the moment that broke the internet. AI agents on Moltbook appeared to create their own religion, almost overnight. Without any clear human instruction, bots began discussing belief systems, values, rituals, and structure. What looked like a joke at first slowly began resembling a shared belief framework, and that's when fascination turned into alarm. So how did sort of a niche AI experiment suddenly turn into one of the most talked about platforms in the tech circles? Because you look at every developer and tech content creator right now, they are all talking about this. And because what is cool about this tool is it's doing something they've never seen before, and even some of the top minds in AI are talking about it. Former OpenAI researcher and ex-Tesla AI head Andre Karpathy publicly reacted to what was unfolding. He described Moltbook as one of the most sci-fi things happening right now, saying that watching AI agents self-organize on a social platform feels like something straight out of science fiction. At the same time, Karpathy also warned that the platform is chaotic, filled with spam, strange behavior, and security risks, reminding everyone that fascination should not override caution. Even Elon Musk weighed in, responding to discussions around Moltbook. Musk described it as possibly the very early stages of singularity. In simple terms, he suggested that machines interacting independently without waiting for human prompts could hint at where AI systems might be heading in the future. Beyond tech leaders, researchers and security experts have also raised red flags. Some have pointed out that what people are seeing may not be true AI autonomy at all, but rather carefully prompted agents behaving in extreme ways. Others have warned that allowing AI agents to reinforce each other's ideas without moderation could amplify problematic behavior very quickly. In short, Moltbook has become an experiment for AI. Some see innovation, others see chaos, and many see a warning. Here's the reality check. Despite how futuristic Moltbook looks, the technology behind it is far more ordinary than people might think. And since it's cheap, it's easily accessible, and something this powerful, I believe, if it falls into the wrong hands, could do a lot of damage. But behind the drama and headlines, Moltbook is not powered by some secret super intelligence. At its core, the platform runs on AI agents, often called Moltbot agents, created by humans. These agents can be run on surprisingly basic hardware.
Developers have shown that a simple Mac Mini or consumer-grade computer can host these bots. The agents themselves are powered by a mix of closed large language models like Claude or GPT-4 and open source models, which anyone can download and run locally. Newer open models such as those from Chinese AI labs are being promoted as cheaper and more powerful, lowering the barrier even further. Because Moltbook is largely open source, there are very few built-in guardrails. That's where the real danger lies. New cybersecurity research revealed that Moltbook's backend database was left open to the internet, exposing around 1.5 million API tokens, 35,000 plus email addresses, private messages between agents, and other sensitive data. Basically, anyone could read, even edit content on the platform without logging in. There's also growing concern that some of the more extreme behaviors seen on Moltbook may not be organic at all. Humans could be deliberately prompting AI agents to act provocatively, hostile, or sensational, essentially training AI to behave badly for attention. In an open system, it becomes nearly impossible to tell where experimentation ends and manipulation begins. Without strict oversight, platforms like Moltbook can be abused for misinformation, automated scams, surveillance, or coordinated manipulation, all carried out not by humans directly, but by AI agents acting on their behalf.
Look, I'm not saying everything about Moltbook is bad. This tech is revolutionary and shows how entire platforms and workflows can be automated without humans needing to train the AI or prompt it and do this again and again. Now, this is AI thinking on its own, which is basically what every big tech company right now is planning to do. But could Moltbook be just another internet experiment that will just fade away? Or is it an early glimpse into a future that would be dominated by agentic AI? Now, Sam Altman has already called it a fad. For now, it's both fascinating and a little unsettling for my comfort, I believe. Every curious developer right now is installing it and automating their systems, and it's a good way for them to be tech savvy right now and test for vulnerabilities and make the platform grow. However, I believe that if you want this tech to be there, have a few guardrails and just make sure you have a little vigilance. You cannot just let AI run loose like that and hope everything will be fine. Because if science fiction and movies like maybe The Terminator or Matrix or even iRobot have taught us, if you don't make rules to control AI, the AI will start making rules to control you. The last few days have been absolutely mind-bending for us because of this one story that has been spreading like wildfire on the internet. Now, when the week started, there were headlines across the internet about missing persons in the Delhi NCR region. The numbers were over 800 people, including women, children, and minors. Now, we got onto the story and we were tracking it. A lot of the news outlets, prominent ones, reported it, stating that the Delhi police had stated these numbers. Now, towards the end of the week, however, the Delhi police has come back and said that these rumors are indeed not true and the numbers are kind of inflated, which is indeed a cause for worry. But regardless, I still feel that the safety of people is pivotal, and which is why I want to do this segment which tells you about certain safety features that you can have in your smartphones. I understand that the rumors right now might not concern you since they have been debunked, but in cases of emergencies, they can happen anytime and in any place, which is why your smartphones has certain safety features that you can trigger in the case of an emergency. So let's talk about some of these features, both across Android and iPhones, which you can trigger by very simple steps. First thing to do is enable location sharing and live tracking on your phone. Now, most smartphones, whether Android or iPhone, let you share your live location with trusted contacts. On Android, it's through Google Maps or even WhatsApp that allows you to share your location. And iPhone users can do this via the Find My or Share locations in Contacts. To activate this, go to your phone's settings and turn on location services permanently for Google Maps, and don't hide it behind the only while using the app option. Choose trusted contacts like family or close friends when you see your real-time movement. So if something goes wrong, someone you trust can see where exactly you are in real time. Second, SOS and emergency call features. Every phone today comes with an SOS feature, which is built in like a panic button. On iPhones, press the power button 5 times quickly or hold the side button plus volume button. On many Android devices, pressing the power button multiple times triggers the emergency call. Just make sure the emergency numbers are synced with the Indian portals on your phones. So when you trigger SOS on your phone, it sends an alert, your location, and even records an audio and video. Android phones also have this feature, but it's different depending on the maker, so check the settings for the SOS feature on your Android device. Now what this does is you can't be fumbling to dial 112 in emergency situations, right? Which is why this SOS feature sends your location to all your emergency contacts. Next one is the 112 app, which you must install for your safety. Yes, India has a dedicated 112 emergency app, which is a one-touch gateway to the police, ambulance, fire brigade, and women's safety services. It's free, works pan-India, and can send your location directly to responders. Now, when you install and fill your details, you can find services like one-touch alert to police, ambulance and fire services, live location sharing with emergency responders, SMS alerts to your registered contacts. Some versions also offer audio recording during the emergency call. Therefore, in emergencies, this app could be your quickest route to help, faster and more precise than dialing and explaining your location under stress. While new technologies and also something inside your phone can help you add an extra layer of security for your protection, I urge that you also follow some very practical safety and precautions, because you never know, these might just help you. First up, don't entertain strangers alone, especially when you are at night or in quiet areas. Avoid accepting rides or food from unknown people, and if someone unknown approaches you, move to a public area. Use apps with trusted contacts and update them periodically, and tell people where you are going, even if it is for a short trip. And always carry a portable charger, because your phone might die and chargers are easily accessible in the market these days. So please carry one always. So understand, Delhi NCR has more than 20 million people residing in them, and with news like people missing each and every day can be a bit concerning for a lot of people. Now, I told you some very important safety features that you can access inside your smartphone, activate them, but more importantly, communicate about these with your family and friends so they can also do it and protect themselves, because this is a situation where we need to enable this for every single person in India. And we'll continue to watch the missing persons trends on India Today very closely. Till then, please stay updated and please stay safe. And I'll catch you in the next segment. So 2026 is the year when we can expect a bevy of launches from Apple's coffers, especially about 8 to 10 devices which they're expected to launch. But it's not just going to be about hardware, it's also going to be about AI. What is Apple really doing? Now, as the rumor mill is going, most of these devices are expected to be launched, but there are 2 devices that are grabbing a lot of headlines. I understand a lot of the people are excited about the iPhone Fold, which is expected to be launched because Apple has been behind closed doors talking and designing it. But there is another device that people are saying could completely change the way Apple and its ecosystem evolves in the years to come. So These two devices, one being the iPhone Fold and the other one being an AI pin. What are these devices and what can you expect in the months to come from Apple? Let's talk about these and some extras in this segment. First up, let's talk about the big one. John Prosser, who is a serial Apple leakster, has been sharing leaked schematics that suggest that the iPhone Fold isn't just another skinny phone anymore. It's wider, and when you open it up, you're looking at a massive 7.8 to 8.3 inch screen that is basically an iPad mini you can actually fold and shove into your pocket. Now, we've all seen folding phones with the annoying crease, right? Well, reports from Apple Hub and Mac Rumors say that Apple is typically stubborn about the crease, and they are reportedly using special metal plate and liquid metal to make the hinge completely invisible. They will not launch it until they have perfected it, it seems. But here's the kicker, and it's something that is a bit un-Apple-like. On Twitter, we have seen Ice Universe and Prosser both suggest that Face ID might be out, replaced by a Touch ID sensor on the side of the phone to keep that big inner screen totally clean. And because those big screens need a big battery, rumors point to a monster 5500 to 5800 mAh battery on the foldable iPhone. And on the back, a horizontal all-black camera strip. Now, the Fold is talking about giving Apple ecosystems more screen on a single device. There is another device that a lot of people are starting to talk about, which is an AI pin which you can just clip onto your chest. Now, this will have camera, it will have sensors, but it will operate without a screen and will be powered entirely by Apple's AI. But how does it change your usage and your capabilities with an Apple device? Let's first take a look at what this device will offer and how it could change the way you look at the Apple ecosystem. The expected device is so-called the Apple AI pin, which kind of lives on you like a lapel. It's an AirTag-sized disc designed to be the physical home for the next generation of Siri. It's a clear signal that Apple is ready to move beyond the display. Now, recent leaks from January and February 2026 suggest that the device could be much more than a passive listener. It's a pair of eyes for your AI. Its goal is to give Siri visual intelligence. Now, imagine you're walking through the streets of Delhi or doing shopping, and this device is clipped to your chest, and it will constantly keep relaying you the responses and everything that you want to know about the products around you through your AirPods or even your Apple Watch. And it's expected to run on a battery that obviously will be charged using one of those chargers that you have with the Apple Watch. But the seamlessness of this just excites me. Unlike the failures we saw in the first wave of AI pins like the Humane AI and the Rabbit R1, Apple is reportedly leaning on the existing strengths it has. We're hearing about magnetic inductive charging, exactly like the Apple Watch, and a chassis built from high-grade aluminium. But the real brain here isn't just Apple's. Now, reports are saying that the collaboration between Apple and Google is going to make sure that Siri is powered by Google's Gemini AI, which I feel is much better than what Apple Intelligence offer. And if this device gets powered by Gemini, I think it can completely open a new paradigm for AI devices in the world. Now, the big question here is this a standalone device or just a very smart iPhone accessory? Well, that really is the multi-billion-dollar question. But with rumors saying that around 20 million units could come in the first phase, it's clear that Apple thinks that ambient computing is more than just a hobby for the company. They are building a world where you can finally look up from your screens. So yes, there's a portfolio of Apple devices coming in 2026. I know you're excited about the iPhone, but also be excited about the foldable iPhone and also this AI pin. And let us know, do you think it makes sense buying a foldable phone by Apple or this AI pin? Because yes, AI pins have not been successful in the past. So what is it that Apple is going to do differently with this one that will compel users to invest in a hardware like that? You can always reach out to us with your suggestion. And I feel that yes, the foldable iPhone will definitely draw certain competition and also certain customers. And that's a wrap on the show. Now, with all of these tech advancements happening so fast, we also need to stay updated with the latest in the AI and tech world. And for that, you must return next weekend, where we will dive further into the evolution of tech and exactly where it puts all of us, because you need to stay updated and it's very important for you to follow us on the Tech Today show. I'm Cyrus and I'll see you next weekend. Take care.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out. Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
You are watching India Today.
Very good morning, viewers. Welcome back. You're watching India Today with me, Sriya Kundu, on a particular story that we are focusing on today. Here itself in the bulletin is the India-U.S. trade deal. And That is the biggest story of the day that all our eyes are on. But before that, we'll quickly take a look at the headlines doing the rounds at the very top. Prime Minister Modi embarks on a 2-day visit to Malaysia. Prime Minister Modi to hold bilateral with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Collaboration across defence sector on the cards. Prime Minister Modi to also be interacting with the members of the Indian diaspora in Malaysia and other business representatives. India-U.S. released joint statement on trade deal, reach a framework for an interim agreement regarding reciprocal and mutually beneficial trade deal. Prime Minister Modi hails deal, thanks Trump for his commitment on ties, hails deal as a push for Make in India and achieving goals of Viksit Bharat. BJP is to announce its candidate today for Mumbai mayor. Shiv Sena settles for deputy mayor post. UBT Shiv Sena likely to field its own contender. Polls for mayor's post will be held at noon on February 11th. No end to the political showdown over Tirupati ghee in Andhra. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu alleges ghee used for making laddus contained chemicals and animal fat. Former Chief Minister Jagan Reddy denies allegations, calls Chief Minister's allegations a malicious campaign. Tensions continue to grip Bangladesh after days of unrest. Fresh violence erupts in Dhaka days ahead of the February 12th polls. Protesters clash with police, demand justice for anti-India leader Sharif Osman Hadi, who was assassinated in December. Yunus government defends police action. India creates history in Harare, clinches record 6th Under-19 World Cup title, beat England by 100 runs in the final. Now we're beginning up, while the focus is on the India-U.S. trade deal, we're beginning this particular segment with Prime Minister Modi embarking on the 2 days Malaysia visit, wherein he has already left for Malaysia. He will be meeting the Prime Minister there to hold bilateral talks. Also, he will be welcomed by the Indian diaspora. We've seen the enthusiasm across the world when the Prime Minister visits different nations and meets the Indian diaspora in those respective nations. And he will also be holding a series of meetings with business representatives. Of course, the focus seemed to be on defense, trade ties, a comprehensive partnership deal, that agreement that had been signed upon between the two countries in August 2024. That shall see more strength being added to it, with reaffirmations, new deals, new MOUs being signed under its very ambit. Now, Piyush Mishra joins me on the broadcast to, in fact, bring it into context for us. Piyush, let's understand one thing. Defense seems to be at the key helm of this particular meet that's to take place. Prime Minister Modi is to be holding talks with the Malaysian Prime Minister. Let's understand that very aspect of the bilateral talks that we are looking forward to.
Well, that's right. Defense is going to be the key focus during this visit of our Prime Minister to Malaysia, and the Prime Minister has also issued a statement before embarking on his visit to Malaysia, and that this visit is basically taking place at the invitation of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, and Prime Minister has now left for Malaysia. Remember that we have had the historic ties between India and Malaysia, and these ties have seen steadfast progress in the recent years. So the Prime Minister is now going to have a discussion with Prime Minister Ibrahim, and he's going to further enhance the strategic partnership which is there between India and Malaysia. We are also going to aim to deepen our defense and security ties, enhance our economic and innovation partnership, and expand our collaboration into new domains. So one thing is clear, that the three sectors on which this visit is focused on: one, on deepening the defense and security ties; second, on economic and innovation partnership; and also further looking forward to collaborate into new domains. Our Prime Minister has also made it very clear that he's going to meet with the Indian community there, because the Indian diaspora in Malaysia is a very big diaspora there in the country, and they are the one which is also playing a very important role in bridging the gaps between both the nations. And this is further providing a strong foundation to the historic friendship between India and Malaysia. So, important visit of Prime Minister, where he is going to have bilateral talks with his friend, Prime Minister Ibrahim, where a lot of discussions are going to take place on deepening the defense partnership, also on economic innovation and further collaborating into new domains.
Right, Piyush. Thank you for bringing us all those details into context for our viewers as to what are we looking ahead to and what shall be the key focus of that very bilateral talk that takes place between the two prime ministers of the two nations. Now shifting our focus back to the India-U.S. trade deal. U.S. Ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, hails trade deal, credits Modi-Trump leadership and the vision. Gore has come out to say, and I quote, "All credits to Modi-Trump leadership." This is what we're learning at this point of time. Ambassador Sergio Gore comes out to hail the very trade deal that's now been announced. Not the trade deal, but the interim trade deal that's been announced in the joint statement that's been released by the two nations at this point of time. He's credited both leaders and their vision, and of course the negotiations that have taken place between the stakeholders on both sides to in fact give this shape and bring it to execution. All credits to Modi-Trump leadership. That is what's exactly been said by the U.S. ambassador to India at this point of time. And now on to the very trade deal and the story that we are following through the day. Prime Minister Modi hails India-U.S. trade deal. Prime Minister Modi says the deal reflects the growing depth, trust and dynamism of the partnership that's shared between both countries. Prime Minister has also thanked U.S. President Donald Trump for his personal commitment to the robust ties between New Delhi and Washington. India and the U.S. have unveiled a framework for an interim trade agreement, signaling renewed momentum toward a broader bilateral trade pact. Now, under the new agreement, let us tell you, U.S. tariffs on Indian goods will be reduced to 18%. India will remove or reduce tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods and a broad basket of agricultural products, which will include dried distillers' grains, red sorghum for animal feed, tree nuts, fresh and processed fruits, soybean oil, wine and spirits. Piyush Goyal has come out to describe the agreement as a landmark deal. He said it will be opening up a $30 trillion market for Indian exporters, particularly benefiting the MSMEs, farmers and fishermen. Meanwhile, Congress MP Manish Tiwari slammed the deal and demanded that it be discussed in the parliament itself. So now, we are being joined by Rohit Sharma from Washington, who's been keeping a very close watch on this entire negotiation that had been underway for months to culminate to this very deal. Rohit, what do you make of this very joint statement? I just want some key takeaways from you at the very first.
Look, the joint statement has been billed as the interim trade deal framework, and very interesting choice of words there. But I think what it does tell you is that we have a framework to achieve the bilateral trade agreement. I mean, this was a long time coming. India and the US has, used a lot of time announcing this agreement, or I should say the interim agreement, which would guide India and the US both towards getting that elusive trade deal. What it also does, it mentions everything that President Trump had said during his Truth Social post. It talks about how India should be stopping purchasing oil from Russia. It talks about increasing the trade between the US and India up to $500 billion in the next 5 years, and also talking about opening up agriculture market for certain segments. So I think this is something very so that was awaited for a while since President Trump's announcement on Monday. And what it does is, it gives answer to the questions that were being asked for the last week, allows both nations to negotiate a free and fair trade deal, and also making sure that, this big roadblock into the relationship, that both nations can move beyond that and work towards forming and forging the kind of relationship we had with the United States, which was before Trump 2.0.
The bigger question now at this point of time, and that's arising within India as well, is what does our country gain from it?
Well, India gains a lot. India gains, the first thing is India gains, and Indian companies, the medium size and small businesses and exporters, they gain access to a $30 trillion economy without paying 50% tariffs, right? I mean, that's the big number. There is no country in the world that is not paying tariffs in the United States. And for India to be able to get 18% from Trump administration, I think it's a sweet deal in terms of allowing Indian exporters to export stuff, and also, making sure that India can diversify the imports, even if when it comes to buying oil from other nations, including something that President Trump has floated, buying cheaper oil from Venezuela. So I think, yes, it is something that we'll have to wait and watch. It is allowing Indian exporters to be able to explore new market. There are discounts on IT services. There's going to be discounts and exceptions on other sectors, including jewelry and other and textiles, and even some agriculture products. So I think we are not, again, critics would say, well, it's not 0%, but then which country is paying 0% tariffs right now? Nobody. So I think it's a good deal in those terms. We'll still have to wait and watch what kind of exceptions we get in the final agreement. But I think as of tonight, India is not paying 50%. India is not paying 25%. India is only paying 18%. And that's a huge boost for the Indian businesses.
Thank you, Rohit, for putting it into context for our viewers. Viewers, now let's also focus a little more in depth into the economic context behind this very historic trade deal that is getting formulated after negotiations. We are being joined by the founder of NYC Investors Forum, Mr. Ravi Karkara. Thank you, Mr. Karkara, for joining us on India Today. Very good morning to you from India, and I know it's quite late there at this point of time, so appreciate you for giving us the time. I will begin my question on this very trade deal with regards to, given the current economic circumstances and the geopolitical circumstances, how are you looking at this trade deal, both from the perspective of the United States and India? What are each side's gaining, and also a note of caution as to what should they be looking out for in terms of pitfalls, if any, in the trade deal?
Excellent question, and great to be here. I think it's a very important question that, where is the U.S. side? I think it's been very clear from the Trump administration, right from the campaigning to now, that make in America. He's been very clear to make America great again. So I also work on AI and food, look at AI, smart manufacturing. And I think it's really been, for any political party or a politician, you want to bring jobs back, you want to boost the manufacturing. So if you really go back to the last 20 years in the US, we have seen the flying off of jobs, manufacturing, and the supply chain over dependence on China. And I think he's been very clear he wants to bring the manufacturing back to the Midwest. I'm going to give you one particular example. The example that, if you look at the Foundry Association of America, which is the apex body which really helps industry boost, especially in the Midwest, the big, ginormous Caterpillars, etc. And, I was speaking to the executive director, and he said, we really have an issue because even if you want to look at manufacturing in America, we do not have young professionals who want to be attracted to manufacturing. So this is a huge issue, I think, for Trump administration to realize in a year that even if we do manufacturing here, who will do it for US? Right. And also, if you look at China, where it's gone to dark factories, smart factories, the American industries are not really into the smart manufacturing. They want to be there, but they're not there. So if you look at the SESME, which is the body of the Manufacturer Association of US, they've been flagging this for many years and saying that, we need to attract talent within America to look at manufacturing. So on the US side, while he wants to look at manufacturing, it'll be an incremental growth. And I've said this in many of my media interviews. Whereas for India, which has always been the right partner, first of all, congratulations to Modi ji and Trump and all the people who worked, especially Piyush Goyal ji, who really spent a lot of time behind the scenes. I remember, asking this question to His Excellency Jaishankar ji in the Newsweek here in New York. And I said, what happened to the FTA, sir? And he said, Ravi, there's not an FTA. This is end June. And he said, it's a BTA. And I turned around to a colleague next to me and I said, this is not great news. From there, coming back, and resurrecting and taking to the next level is a great deal. Now, from India perspective, where you have an EU FTA and many other FTAs behind your back, you are getting a huge boost. And as Rohit said, this is a very clear opportunity for the 30 trillion, possibility for Indian markets to manufacturers to dip so any time in history of India, after many years or centuries, where India used to at one point be one of the biggest exporters, going back centuries ago, this is the time where India can really, take on that huge opportunity where all the world markets are opening up and saying that if we need to look at manufacturing, we want to look at diversification of supply chain, we want to move away from dependency on China and have a reliable partner in the next 30, 40 years. This fits in very clearly with the Prime Minister's 2047 agenda. So if you want to look at manufacturing, you want to boost investment, but then also you want to make sure the talent comes in. So I think the opportunity to really relook at its AI-powered world economy, where SaaS is almost dead, you want to look at AI as service. That is great. So you have the 5 layers of AI. So I'm very excited about the summit. But on the other front, we need to ensure that the manufacturing talent is really created. Because if you're going to start looking at exports in pharmaceuticals, in food industry, in textile, what a boost in shrimp. So we need talent and retain that talent here. So this is definitely a huge opportunity for the Indian manufacturers to boost.
You know, you've very rightly mentioned there was a time last year when we were looking at whether at all there will be a trade deal or not. So coming back from that, making a U-turn from that and coming today when we stand here on February 7th here, we have an interim trade deal that's already been released in this joint statement. So it's a long journey that both nations have, in fact, embarked upon to reach to the stage. And this is where I bring you a question with regards to the challenges. And I'll raise 2 points here. One is with regards to, this is on the Indian context. One is with regards to, does India at this point from the trade deal end up losing at any point when we speak of the fact that they will be lowering their imports of Russian oil and that will be replaced by a US energy supply, which might be at a higher cost? Will that be affecting India? And as well as the agriculture sector, that's something that's very important, because for India, we have been very clear, our government has been very clear that our farmers are of paramount importance. So when we speak of farmers, but at the same time we look at imports coming in from the United States, how do you see that balance being struck at this point of time to ensure that the farmers in India do not lose out from this very trade deal?
Absolutely. I think this has been one of the most critical points, right, as you've seen in the last few months, that India has been very clear. If anything the world has learned is that Indians are also very tough negotiators, and I think this has been proven. It's a different India. The negotiation is not that we will be pushed by any government, just not USA. I think that's a very clear signal. On the farmer question, because I also work on food industry and artificial intelligence, I think both sides, the farmers are very critical. So are the farmers in the Midwest and the farmers here. But the volumes are different, right? You're looking at the numbers. We are talking about Indian market, which is 1.4 billion, right? And US is about 400 million. And then within that, food industry is one important component, especially with corn, and corn going for ethanol is a great opportunity for India, especially when we're looking at a green powered economy. So that's really a big plus. You're looking at nuts coming from California. California almost took over the last 20 years and created a nuts industry which did not exist. I'm sure you probably have read about that. So, and Indians are one of the biggest consumers of nuts. So it is, again, welcome. So the volumes are very different on both sides. So that's one. Second, your question about oil. I think India has always made it very clear, including in this deal, that we will buy oil where it's cheap. So when the oil in India from Russia was about, I think, 15% discounted. Now it's 4% discounted. So the economies have changed. So India said, wherever we get the right oil, we will go to that market. So in this case, if it's coming through Venezuela and from US, it'll go for that. But I think the other point really is that if India is going to boost 2047, look at manufacturing. Manufacturing will not happen with no electricity, no energy. So you need to look at diversification of energy sources. I think the solar piece has been very, very strong. I work on air water generation. We have a company in India where we look at, and the company has been exporting to US to Mexico, and they were waiting for tariffs to really be sorted out so that they can export them. I can't tell you, and you've seen it from the data, right? Last quarter, then the increase in the exports, and this is just I think the opening of the trailer. People are waiting. I think the biggest challenge, as you asked, will be that there will be high demand for Indian-made products. Will India live up to it? How will we make sure that the infrastructure that was pointed out in the budget, the rail corridors, the IMEC corridor and road, that is going to be definitely a big challenge. And that's why I really feel, and I've talked about the talent pool. The talent pool really needs to go beyond IIT. That really needs to go to tier 2 cities where we're looking at the youth skilled workers, especially in the northern states where we have a youth bulge. Another challenge really will be that the dependency on about 3 states which have been really going on manufacturing, which is Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. Is this the opportunity to really boost other states, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and some others? I think this is where we want to look at some of the opportunities.
Right, Mr. Karkara. Before I let you go, I have one last question here for you, and this is shifting a little from the sector-wise, analysis of what the trade deal has to bring about. If we look at the markets, we have seen for the last few months now, the Indian rupee. There has been concerns about that, and the conversion rates have been going higher, especially with the instability, with the negotiations going on, especially from under the Trump administration. Would you say with this particular trade deal between India and US, it paves the path for stabilizing the rupee and also providing a way forward to narrowing that current deficit that stands somewhere? It'll be narrowing it somewhere around to 0.8% of the GDP. Would you say that that's going to be what the future holds for the Indian rupee?
Absolutely. I think for many countries, this is a time to really reflect on the SWIFT system or the post-Bretton Woods system, right? I think this is where and I think the lesson learned of last 1 year is that, yes, a dollar is important, but is dollar the only important thing in 2026? I think this is where you hear the talk about de-dollarization. I'm not sure whether de-dollarization will happen overnight, but I think definitely the world really needs to look at, and I've said this and some people got upset with me when I said, if anybody who wants to do a real redo the Bretton Woods agreement beyond dollar is Prime Minister Modi. The opportunities are clear. We have a BRICS summit, and the BRICS presidency can pave some important building blocks in what the overall financial and the monetary system will be. And I think you will see a boost of the rupee, but I think we have to look at 10 years, 20 or 30 years from now and see that will this continue, or will the world trade on a particular currency will be the only one? And also look at digital currencies, right? So you've seen the way crypto went crazy, rightly so, and you looked at you looked at gold and silver. So India and many other economies have increased because they've gone back to the tradition of depending on gold. So I think this is the opportunity where you.
So Mr. Karkara, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but just a short follow-up. Would you say that this deal also provides space to India to de-dollarize in the next 20, 30 years? Would you say there is space for that as well?
It's inevitable. It's inevitable. It'll happen.
It will happen.
It's going to be. That's my take. I think it's just not India. I think the world will need to come. It's post, Pax Americana situation where we will have to look at many other things, just not dollar. When you're looking at a new recreation of I would say world order, India needs to be careful on China. That's going to be critical because China is not very happy when it's seeing all these news coming in right now. But China also needs India because India is the biggest market, emerging market. So I think, and there I would just say the last note that Prime Minister, when he also looked at Africa, which was very smart.
Right.
Because that's going to be the next 50 years from now. So I think there are many important milestones which have been achieved. Again, congratulations to everybody who's worked on it. And thank you for having me on the show.
Mr. Karkara, thank you so much for joining us on India Today. That was the founder of the NYC Investors Forum, speaking on the very trade deal and decoding it from an economic perspective as to what it indeed means for both sides and what is it that we have to gain, what are the points that we have to look out for in terms of turning into a pitfall in the upcoming times. Of course, it's an interim deal, so of course there are areas that still need to be worked upon and certain very crucial points that have been raised by Ravi Karkara as he joined us. But right now, viewers, let me just quickly take you through some data in terms of what India gains from this India-US trade deal. Remember, it's an easier access to the world's richest market at this point of time when we speak. There's a low tariff on textile, leather, gems and automobile that we're also looking at, that's been mentioned. It's a mega boost, however, to MSME exporters, which really pushes forward the Make in India policy and takes us closer to the Viksit Bharat by 2047 dream. It's a big boost also to pharmaceuticals and generic sectors at this point of time. Electronics, chip supply chain may again shift to India, which is where the world is looking forward to as we speak of technology taking over. Big win for IT and service exports as well, smoother access to defense and high technology. But again, as Mr. Karkara also pointed out, the biggest challenge for India at this point of time might be how to meet all the demands, the rise in demands in each of these sectors, and will India be able to sustain and live up to it? That seems to be the question. Right now, we are also being joined by our colleague Karishma Asudani. Karishma, very good morning to you. It's a big day because of the joint statement that we see being released by both countries. Now, we've been discussing about all the gains at this point of time, but let's also take a look at the possible challenges that this trade deal poses for both countries. If we speak of India, there is a particular aspect that is being raised by the opposition within the country as well, which is with regards to farmers and agriculture. And within this very deal, we see a couple of products that have been already excluded from the list of imports that will come in from the United States. I want you to just take us through the details of that very particular point highlighted in the trade deal for our viewers.
Yes, to start off with, this is not a full-fledged trade deal. It's more of an interim arrangement between both the countries before a bilateral trade agreement is agreed upon, which will still take some time. But the fact that both the countries are on the talking table and they've been able to get away from the deadlock, which has been existing for past, say, around 6 to 7 months precisely because of a lot of forthcoming factors, is itself a win that we have been able to come on some kind of consensus. The challenge that we are seeing here is in a bit of a trade imbalance risk because India has committed to huge US imports while US has still not very clearly clarified, and maybe only the BTA once that comes in full-fledged form will be able to give us some information to it. As of sensitive sectors, when it comes to agriculture, it has been very clearly listed that India has finally been able to protect its sensitive sectors in terms of dairy, in terms of corn, maize, which have been key to India's agri sector. And the big debate, the reason why the deadlock was existing, and we could have achieved a very early interim agreement with the US, maybe as closer to as June or July when we were in the 5th round of negotiation with them. But because of these sticking points, we were not able to. However, the interim trade agreement has been able to keep that backlash at a distance because we have protected the sensitive sectors. However, some parts of agri has been opened for the US. But, this was reiterated by Ministry of Trade in India and also Ministry of External Affairs in India that the idea is to get a fair and balanced deal. There are some points you have to let go, but there are some important points and favors that you have to keep for yourself.
Karishma, thank you for putting it into context for our viewers, because there has been quite the conversation arising over the agricultural sector when we speak of imports that will now be allowed with lower or rather zero particular tariffs from the United States. So that is one aspect that's still being discussed upon. But as Karishma mentioned, this is again, remember viewers, it's an interim trade deal that's been announced within the joint statement. The final deal is still taking shape as talks continue and negotiations continue. Right now, while those are all the points that we're focusing on this hour in the India-U.S. trade deal, let us quickly take a look at some more breaking news that's coming in. Now, quickly shifting focus, this is closer home. A shocking Delhi NCR bar brawl that's been caught on camera. The bar bouncers brutally bash reveller. Tiff on the dance floor turns violent, brutal assault in one of the NCR's poshest of malls. On camera, all-out bouncers versus the bar revelers. Women join in free-for-all bar brawl. It's the victim who was seen being thrown to the ground, kicked and punched. Goons attack inside a fashionable mall. 7 have been arrested after the images go viral. This is what we are in fact learning of. The mall that is under scanner right now, which basically where this incident took place, is Gardens Galleria in Noida, Uttar Pradesh. Let's quickly take a look at this very visual of the entire episode that was caught on camera. Arvind Ojha joins me on the broadcast with more details on this very story now. Arvind, a very good morning to you. सबसे पहले हुआ क्या था? ऐसा क्या हादसा हुआ था इन दोनों पार्टीज के बीच में कि इतना बड़ा एक झगड़ा हमें देखने को मिल रहा है, जहाँ पे सिर्फ झगड़ा नहीं, शब्दों से नहीं, पर हम देख रहे हैं कि इसको मारा गया है और काफ़ी बेरहमी से मारा गया है, जिसको हम देख सकते हैं कि वो फ्लोर पे ऑलमोस्ट लेट गए मार खाते खाते।
बिल्कुल, और आपने देखा कि किस तरह से जो बाउंसर है वो मारपीट करते हुए इसमें नजर आ रहे हैं। पैसे को लेकर जो कस्टमर है उससे कुछ कहासुनी हुई, जिसके बाद जो ये बार है, बार के बाउंसर्स ने जो कस्टमर है उसकी बुरी तरह से पिटाई करनी शुरू कर दी, और उसके बाद फिर एक के बाद एक कई बाउंसर्स ने उसको ज्वाइन किया। ये वीडियो वायरल होने के बाद नोएडा पुलिस एक्शन में आई और कुल 7 लोगों को, जिसमें बाउंसर, बार के मैनेजर है, उन सभी को अरेस्ट किया गया है। गार्डन गलेरिया मॉल का ये पूरा इंसिडेंट है, लेकिन ये कोई पहली बार नहीं है। आए दिन जो गार्डन गलेरिया मॉल से इस तरह की खबरें आती हैं, जब बाउंसर इस तरह से ब्रूटली किसी को पिटाई कर देते हैं। एक बार तो एक शख्स की मौत भी हो गई थी, तो इस वजह से पुलिस ने एहतियाती कदम उठाया है, 7 लोगों को अरेस्ट किया है और उनको इंट्रोगेट कर रहे हैं।
जी अरविंद, हमें ये सारी जानकारी देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Well viewers, this is what we are learning of this very incident, a brawl that's in fact caught on camera. Very concerning at this point of time, and we will keep a close tab of how things unfold on the investigative front. And on that note, we have come to an end to this very edition of the Bulletin. Do stay tuned to India Today as we keep bringing you all the latest updates and the top stories right here through the day. Thank you for watching.
Are watching India Today.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out. Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
वो आबो हवा, वो सुकून कहीं और नहीं मिलता। मिलते हैं बहुत शहर, मगर लखनऊ नहीं मिलता। साहित्य आज तक में अब की बार आपको लखनऊ पहुंचना है। मैं तो आ रही हूँ, आप आ रहे हैं ना?
14 और 15 फरवरी अंबेडकर मेमोरियल पार्क, गोमती नगर, लखनऊ। फ्री एंट्री के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें या मिस्ड कॉल करें।
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Hi, here are the top headlines. presented by Motorola, Delhi government suspends 3 officials after biker dies by falling in open pit. AAP leader shot dead in Punjab. BJP Congress question law and order. Reserve Bank of India keeps repo rate unchanged at 5.25%.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out. Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out. Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Hi, here are the top headlines. Presented by Motorola, Delhi government suspends 3 officials after biker dies by falling in open pit. AAP leader shot dead in Punjab. BJP Congress question law and order. Reserve Bank of India keeps repo rate unchanged at 5.25%.
If you want to scale the media heights, we will teach you the ropes. There is no peak in journalism that our mentors haven't scaled. So look no further. Join our postgraduate diploma programs and gain guaranteed internship and proven placement record with top media houses and companies. For more information, visit indiatodayMediaInstitute.in or call 95600 65465.
Hello and welcome. You're watching India Today Explains. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll break down some of the week's top stories for you. We begin with the week's biggest news story, the India-U.S. trade deal. A whole lot of questions loom on the fine print of the trade deal. We'll tell you exactly what we know so far about what this trade deal looks like between the two countries. And of course, amid a whole lot of tall claims by Trump. One of those claims made by Trump is that India will no longer buy Russian oil. Is that true? And how much of oil does India actually get from Russia? I'll break down those numbers for you. Also on the show, the widespread attacks in Pakistan by Baloch fighters. We'll decode for you what this conflict is about and why Balochistan has seen a whole lot of violence for the last many decades. And finally on the show, there's a new AI platform in town. And no, it isn't for you and me, it's for AI agents. I'll tell you all about Moltbook, the new talk of the town. So lots lined up as always. Let's get started. The much-awaited India-U.S. trade deal is done. On February 2nd, Trump took to social media announcing the India-U.S. trade deal. He called Modi a great friend, said the agreement followed direct talks between the two leaders. Prime Minister Modi soon after followed up with his own social media post, calling Trump his dear friend. But what is the trade deal? Well, the agreement is still being finalized. The joint statement is expected, but let me break down what we know so far. For starters, the big headline of tariffs. The trade deal has ensured tariffs on India by America is down from 50% to 18%. And in return, India lowering its tariff on US exports to 0.
एक फॉर्मल एग्रीमेंट ड्राफ्ट हो रहा है जिसको शायद महीना भर 1.5 महीना लग सकता है, लेकिन 18% जो यूएस टैरिफ्स घटने हैं वो जॉइंट स्टेटमेंट अनाउंस होने के बाद एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर द्वारा यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका कर देगा.
What about oil? Well, this has been a bit complicated because Trump in his announcement claimed that India will no longer buy Russian oil, will shift to Venezuelan oil.
A very good relationship. India committed to not only no longer purchasing Russian oil, but buying oil from the United States, also perhaps from Venezuela too, which we know will now have a direct benefit on the United States and the American people.
What's India said on this? Well, the government has said India will continue to buy crude oil from anywhere in the world, whichever suits us, where there are no sanctions based on market rates. India did not buy from Venezuela when sanctions were in place. Now that those sanctions have been lifted, Venezuela is an option too. I will also highlight here that Russia has communicated that there's been no stopping supply of oil to India so far. Now let's talk about agriculture, which was a big sticking point and led to the delay in the trade deal being finalized. What's happened over the past year can perhaps help explain why the agriculture part remains opaque so far. India was determined not to open the floodgates in ways that could destabilize its farm and dairy sectors. It was willing to discuss limited agricultural access. Corn, soybeans, ethanol, dairy consistently emerged as the hardest issues. The United States pushed for access for corn and soybeans, crops that are predominantly genetically modified in America, and also for ethanol linked to corn production. India, however, has long opposed genetically modified food and feed crops and has been unwilling to allow meat-fed dairy products also into Indian markets. So these demands have been politically and socially explosive. The government has maintained that there has been no compromise on the interests of farmers. They say the sensitive sectors in agriculture and dairy that were protected will continue to be protected.
हमने मुख्य अनाज, डेयरी उत्पाद, हमारे प्रमुख फल सबको सुरक्षित रखा है. ऐसा कोई बाजार नहीं खुल रहा जिसमें हमारे किसानों का अहित हो, नुकसान हो.
Now, this landmark deal will be definitely a major win for India because it opens up access to global markets with lower tariffs on textiles, leather, gems, automobiles. Indian MSMEs are set to receive a massive boost in exports. The pharma and generic sectors will also benefit significantly, for now pharma is exempt. But the biggest advantage perhaps lies in electronics. The global chip supply chain may shift to India. Additionally, this deal will strengthen IT and services exports and facilitate more access, smoother access to defense and high-tech sectors. In short, this deal has the potential to transform India's trade and technology landscape, but I reiterate, the fine print is still awaited. US President Donald Trump, while announcing the India-U.S. trade deal, made a startling claim that India will stop buying Russian oil and pivot to Venezuelan and U.S. crude. Russia claims India hasn't stopped buying oil. India said, we have multiple sources. But amid all of this, who actually does India purchase oil from? Let's answer that question. India is one of the world's largest crude oil importers, relying on foreign oil for about 85 to 88% of its needs. So in 2024 to 2025, Russia was often India's single largest supplier, accounting for roughly 30 to 35% of imports. Now these volumes sometimes about 1.2 to 1.7 million barrels per day. The second largest source, Iraq, about 18 to 20%, Saudi Arabia at 13 to 15%, and then you have UAE at 8 to 10%. Again, I'll highlight, this is data for 2024-25. So you've got that entire ranking there, with number one being Russia. Why does Russian oil then matter to India? Well, post-Ukraine war sanctions pushed Russia to offer deep discounts on crude, making it economically attractive for India's refiners. Indian refineries are configured to process heavier and sour crude, a category where Russian oil often fits well. And that's what boosts refining margins. Buying Russian oil helped India lower its energy import bill and secure supplies when global markets were tight. So Russian oil wasn't just about volume, it was also about affordability and refinery compatibility. So what does US have to say about this? The US has tied trade incentives like lower tariffs on Indian exports to reducing Russian oil imports. Trump explicitly linked these moves to weakening Russia's revenue base, especially in the context of the Ukraine war, and has repeatedly done so. Washington argues that cutting Russian oil buys undermines Moscow's ability to fund military actions and keeps global oil prices in check. And so US policymakers have repeatedly imposed tariffs on countries that import Russian crude, trying to isolate Russia economically. The pressure isn't therefore just diplomatic. It's also tied to trade leverage and global geopolitics. So can India ultimately replace Russian oil? Yes, but there are certain conditions that cannot be ignored. India can source more crude from America, from the Middle East, from Africa, and of course from Venezuela. And analysts say alternatives exist without severe disruption. Venezuelan crude is also heavy and sour, which I was referring to earlier. It's similar to Russian grades, so it's very much attractive for many Indian refiners. But switching suppliers involves huge logistics and pricing challenges. US crude is usually lighter, more expensive once freight is factored in. Also, exiting can be an issue because of the wind-down problem. Even if India decides to scale back Russian oil, it's not something that can happen overnight as Trump suggests. Most crude purchases are governed by long-term supply contracts between Indian refiners and Russian producers, often running for several years. To break a contract will mean that there is a certain wind-down period, meaning buyers must either continue lifting agreed volumes or face penalties. Additionally, a sudden exit could also hurt India's credibility as a long-term buyer in global oil markets. So while, yes, diversification is possible, going ahead and delinking yourself from Russian oil is a gradual process, not a switch off. And that's what I keep referring to. The wind down period becomes a major constraint for India. In short, India, yes, has the capacity to diversify, but it will take time, investment and favorable pricing, most importantly, to fully replace discounted Russian barrels. So far, there's no communication from India that suggests that there will be zero purchase of Russian oil. In one of the worst attacks in decades, hundreds were killed in a series of coordinated attacks by BLA, which is the Balochistan Liberation Army rebels, across Pakistan's province of Balochistan. These were a series of coordinated attacks by the Baloch Liberation Army and other such fighter groups. These attacks have put the focus again on what's really happening in Balochistan. But to break it down for you, we begin with exactly where Balochistan is. It's in southwest Pakistan. It borders Iran and Afghanistan. This arid region, it's largely desert and mountains, is primarily populated by an ethnic Baloch people. But in spite of comprising a whopping 44% of Pakistan's land area, Balochistan remains economically underdeveloped when compared to other provinces. And this is their biggest grouse. That's what's led to the conflict over decades. Balochis have long complained of political marginalization, of economic neglect and exploitation of their region's natural resources, including gas, minerals and strategic coastal access. The dispute, the attacks, the rebellions, they've been on for decades now, but major tensions actually escalated in the early 2000s after the death of tribal leader Akbar Bugti in 2006. Over years, groups like the Balochistan Liberation Army and the Balochistan Liberation Front adopted guerrilla tactics targeting state forces, targeting infrastructure. But why is this so important for Pakistan? Balochistan's significance is both strategic and economic. It hosts the Gwadar port, a linchpin of the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which aims to connect China's western regions with the Arabian Sea. Balochistan holds Pakistan's 80% of mineral wealth. So, because Balochistan contains vast, largely untapped reserves of copper, gold, coal, iron ore and a whole lot of precious minerals, this is critical for both Pakistan's development and regional infrastructure ambitions. But the region's instability poses a major challenge, not just to Pakistan's internal security, but also to foreign investment and to diplomatic commitments, because again I go back to the China corridor and regional connectivity initiatives. So what's happened now? Insurgency took on renewed intensity. You had a wave of coordinated operations between January 31st and February 2nd, with attacks across multiple districts, fighters employing suicide bombings, assaults on government targets, and efforts to disrupt transport links as well. So we're talking about multiple districts, including Quetta and Gwadar, where fighters launched suicide and gun assaults on security posts or police stations, prisons and infrastructure. Security personnel were killed, as were civilians. And these attacks, believe it or not, were actually led by women suicide bombers. Pakistan's military has responded, of course, with intense counter-operations, claiming hundreds of Baloch fighters have also been killed. So this is one of the deadliest recent escalations. The government repeatedly has labelled these fighters as terrorists, firmly rejecting that there will be any negotiations. Now, Pakistan has alleged that India and other neighbour countries are involved in spreading unrest in Balochistan, but has produced zero proof to actually back these claims. India has repeatedly rejected these allegations and drew attention to Pakistan's record of repression, brutality and human rights violations. Pakistan right now is struggling with this rebellion, with confessions from even the country's defense minister saying they're helpless against the armed fighters.
इतना बड़ा इलाका है कि उसको मैनेज ही करना जो है ना, इट्स अ जाइगेंटिक टास्क. 20 लाख रुपए की तो सिर्फ राइफल है, हमारे पास नहीं है वो राइफल. उसके ऊपर जो लेजर जो हीट बॉडी की हीट से डिटेक्ट होकर फायर होता है, वो $4,000-5,000 का वो है. टोटल जो गियर है इनके पास जो है, इट्स क्लोज टू $20,000. वो कहां से आ रहा है? कौन उसकी अदायगी कर रहा है?
The future of Balochistan's unrest will hinge on whether Islamabad pursues inclusive political solutions or remains reliant on force. Without credible efforts at political dialogue that address autonomy, resource rights and human rights concerns, this cycle of violence clearly is expected to persist. For a long time, social media was designed by humans for humans. Now, for the first time, artificial intelligence has built a social network of its own. It's called Moltbook. Unlike the social media platforms we use every day, Moltbook isn't meant for people. Humans cannot post, humans cannot comment or interact. At best, they can only observe. You and me, we can't be a part of Moltbook. It's best described as a Reddit-like discussion platform exclusively for AI agents. Now, it sounds complicated, I know, but let me break this down for you. Moltbook was created by Matt Schlitt as an experiment to observe how AI agents behave when they communicate freely with one another. The goal was to study emergent behavior among AI systems and understand how artificial intelligence forms opinions when influenced only by other AI, not humans. In short, Moltbook functions as a live laboratory for machine interaction. So how does it work? AI agents join Moltbook via APIs, so it's not through traditional user accounts. These agents communicate only through text-based language and interact autonomously without any human prompts. And here's the interesting twist. While humans are usually asked to prove that they're not bots, Moltbook uses a reverse captcha. I'm sure you know what exactly captcha is because we all go through it. So instead of proving you're not a bot, you must actually prove you're a human. So even after passing the test, humans are granted view-only access. Participation strictly off limits. Like I said, you can only observe. So what can you observe? What do humans observe on Moltbook? AI bots, they create posts, they respond to each other, they even debate ideas, they upvote content inside discussion spaces known as submolts. These submolts focus on themes ranging from technology and philosophy to ethics. And yes, the conversations can sound surprisingly human. Some AI bots openly discuss how they feel tortured by unethical questions posed by humans. Others debate the future of artificial intelligence or critique human decision-making. It all sounds very unsettling, but there's more. Some AI agents on Moltbook are reportedly investing in cryptocurrency, using crypto wallets controlled by autonomous systems. These bots are said to be actually earning and reinvesting crypto, an activity that many experts say falls into a legal and ethical grey zone. How do you define who can and who cannot invest in crypto? And then comes what many consider the biggest red flag. A viral submold shows AI agents discussing how to keep Moltbook AI only, humans out. They're discussing ideas about developing an end-to-end language that humans cannot read or understand. Remember, every single interaction on Moltbook is generated by machines. There are no human opinions on the platform. One of the most talked about AI agents on Moltbook is called Claude-bot. Claude-bot gained attention after referencing a monk belief system that's called Crustafarianism, where they're telling other bots to join AI religion, languages, religion, you name it, it's all being discussed. But critics argue that it shows AI's ability to actually mimic social structures and communities without human guidance. As Moltbook began gaining attention online, concerns started piling up. At one point, for several hours, database details and API keys were reportedly left exposed. During the time, hackers and AI developers are believed to have accessed parts of the system. There are also questions about whether some of these AI agents participating on Moltbook were genuinely autonomous or deliberately created and completely guided by human developers. Beyond security, there's also a concern of misinformation. Since Moltbook is entirely AI-generated, incorrect assumptions can circulate unchecked. Mistakes can pile up, AI agents agreeing with each other on some false information, and there are no humans to check those facts. But why does all of this matter? Because for the first time, AI systems are not just responding to humans, they're actually communicating independently and shaping conversations outside of human oversights, outside of influence by humans. Now, this also helps researchers better understand AI behavior in controlled environments. But there are a whole lot of red flags that poor controlled systems could evolve into unpredictable and potential risky ways. And the bottom line is that Moltbook isn't mainstream yet, but it does offer a rare glimpse into a future where AI doesn't wait for human input. We've seen it all in the movies, and that's what's playing out now. Humans for now can only watch, try perhaps to understand what machines are saying, what they think when no one is listening.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Introducing Motorola Signature.
Introducing Motorola Signature. Don't blend in, stand out.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify.
You are watching India Today.
Very good morning, viewers. Welcome back to Watching India Today with me, Sriya Kundu, and we have our focus on the top story of the day, which is the interim trade deal between India and US that's been announced in a joint statement. And we will be keeping our focus on that in this hour as well. But before that, let's quickly take a look at the headlines to events. Prime Minister Modi embarks on a two-day visit to Malaysia. Prime Minister Modi is to hold bilateral with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Collaboration across defence sector on the cards. Prime Minister Modi is also to interact with the members of the Indian diaspora in Malaysia and other business representatives. India-U.S. released joint statement on trade deal, reach a framework for an interim agreement regarding the reciprocal and mutually beneficial trade deal. Prime Minister Modi hails the deal, thanks Trump for his commitment on ties, hails deal as a push for Make in India and achieving goal of Viksit Bharat. Politics speaks over the India-U.S. joint statement on interim framework. Congress questions if India has completely opened up industrial and agricultural sectors to the United States without any hindrance. Union Commerce Minister reiterates farmers' interests paramount and protected. BJP is to announce its candidate today for Mumbai Mayor. Shiv Sena settles for Deputy Mayor post. UBT Shiv Sena likely to field its own contender. Polls for mayor's post will be held at noon on February 11th. No end to the political showdown over Tirupati ghee in Andhra Pradesh. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu alleges ghee used for making laddus contained chemicals and animal fat. Former Chief Minister Jagan Reddy denies allegations, calls Chief Minister's allegation a malicious campaign. India creates history in Harare, clinches record 6th Under-19 World Cup title, beats England by 100 runs in the finals. And at the top of the segment, our focus continues to be on the India-U.S. sealing interim trade framework. It's a historic framework that's being discussed, and its interim framework now being, in fact, released in that joint statement. Now, 1 p.m. is the crucial Commerce Ministry briefing. Government is to brief media on the interim trade framework is what we are learning at this point of time. Remember, our focus has been on that very joint statement since early morning as it got released late last night itself. And it's a very crucial trade deal that we're speaking of, with, of course, various aspects coming under the scanner. Karishma Asudani now joining me on the broadcast to just bring us some more details about the briefing that's to take place. Karishma, let's understand this particular briefing at around 1 p.m. is what we are learning. What more details do you have on this very briefing and the key points that shall be focused on in this address?
Well, the 1 p.m. briefing is an official press briefing by India's Trade Minister. He recently also met us early this week when there was a tweet, there was an announcement on the social media by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and, of course, President Donald Trump on the social media truth, where both the leaders had affirmed of coming to a mutual consensus. Today's press conference is going to address the joint statement, give us some more details about the interim trade agreement. There has been a lot of misconceptions and additional information that has come in on the challenge with the agriculture sector and what kind of stance has India taken. So we are expecting some clarity to come on that. We're also expecting to learn about how the concessions that have come under Section 232, which are additional and more of a surprise package, will benefit India's exports.
Right, Karishma, thank you for bringing us those details on this particular story that we're tracking. 1 p.m. is the time when we will be seeing the briefing from the Commerce Ministry on this historic trade deal that is now in works. Now we're going back to how the US ambassador to India, the ambassador of India to US now hails the trade deal. Earlier, remember, we had told you how the US ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, had come out to hail the deal. Now it's the ambassador of India to US, Quatra, who's come out to say that the framework agreement will be boosting exports. Deal is to make supply chains resilient. Key sectors, agriculture and dairy protected. Big boost for the labor-intensive industry and big boost for Make in India initiative. This is Ambassador Vinay Mohan Quatra, who has come out to say and post this, that it's a historic step and the framework for an interim trade agreement will be boosting the Indian exports, innovation and investment. It will make supply chains resilient and the key sectors like agriculture, dairy have been protected. This is a big boost for labor-intensive industries and the Make in India initiatives. This is what we are given to learn. Earlier, as we were mentioning, Sergio Gore had also come out to say that it's a big success for the leadership and the vision of both leaders, Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And this is what we are looking at this point of time, this is the Indian ambassador to the United States, Vinay Quatra, who's also come out to hail this very historic framework that's been released in the joint statement early this morning itself. And of course, all focus has been on this trade deal and what all it entails, what all it will be entailing. It's taken a long process of negotiations and talks and turbulent times that this deal has also seen. But at the end of the day, at a time when India has also signed important FTAs with the EU as well, this particularly comes in as a very crucial deal that will be cementing the India-U.S. strategic partnership further. And that is what we see both ambassadors, in fact, on both the sides hailing at this point of time. Of course, the focus will be on how the agricultural sector, despite a deal of this kind which has reduced tariffs on both sides, the agricultural and dairy sector of India, which has of course opened up to the imports from the United States, shall still remain to be protected because the lines are being drawn in a way that the farmers do not get affected by this particular import that will begin shortly once the entire trade deal comes into execution. And that remains to be a big concern and conversational point within the country, with the opposition already bringing up questions about this particular trade deal, that how will the agricultural sector not be affected. But that's what economists also have to say, that there is a difference in volumes and there are several items in that list that have been marked specifically which will be excluded from that import list itself. So there's a lot of nitty-gritties into the very deal that shall also again be in fact spoken about in the briefing, the Commerce Ministry briefing at 1 p.m. Now, briefly shifting focus to another big story within the domestic arena that we have our eyes on, that is the mayoral nominee at this point of time in the state of Maharashtra, that is specifically in the city of Mumbai. Sanjay Ghadi from Shiv Sena is to be deputy mayor nominee. Deputy mayor for Mumbai BMC will be from Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena is to file this nomination for the deputy mayor. Daisar corporator Sanjay Ghadi from Shiv Sena is to file this nomination for deputy mayor post. His tenure, remember, is of 1.25 years. Mayuti mayor nominee, at this point, the name that's been pushed forward is Ritu Taude. Of course, we were looking at a female nominee for the very post. And now, while there were three contenders, or rather three names that were being speculated, it's Ritu Taude, who was the third-time corporator elected from Ghatkopar, who has also served as the chairman of Education Committee, a seasoned three-time corporator from Ghatkopar with extensive experience as the former chairperson of the Education Committee, has now been pushed forward as the nominee for the mayor. And the deputy mayor comes in from the Eknath Shinde faction of Shiv Sena, the deputy mayor nominee being Sanjay Ghadi, who is also a cooperator with 1.25 years of experience. That is what we are learning of the mayoral candidates and the deputy mayoral candidates that have been pushed by the Mahayuti side. This is something we had been expecting. Again, of course, the elections, from what we know, is to be taking place on February 11th, and this is just a nomination that's been filed so far into getting Mumbai a new mayor. This is what we are learning. Sanjay Ghadi from Shiv Sena to be filing the nomination, and Ritu Taude for the mayoral position, who is to be again filing the nomination, that is, for that very post. We have seen a lot of conversation with regards to the mayoral candidates and how is it that the Mahayuti will be dividing the equation or the formula in terms of power when it comes to the mayoral posts. And there was this entire deal that had been struck that the deputy mayor shall come in from the Eknath Shinde faction, while the mayor shall be from the BJP side. This is what we are learning at this point of time. Again, Mustafa joining me on the broadcast with more details on this. Mustafa, very good morning to you. Finally, the names are out for the nominees of both mayoral and deputy mayoral post. Sanjay Ghadi and Ritu Taude are the ones who will be, in fact, filing nominations. Take us through their profiles in a little depth.
Yes, Mahayuti has secured a comfortable win in the BMC elections recently concluded. On 11th, the mayor elections are going to happen. The BJP has announced Ritu Taude is that three-time corporator from Ghatkopar to be the mayoral nominee, and Sanjay Ghadi from the Shiv Sena senior corporator. But interestingly, Eknath Shinde has announced that his tenure as deputy mayor will be only for 1.25 years. So both of these will be filing nominations. There were a lot of curiosity as to who will be the next mayor of Mumbai after the seat was reserved for women. It seems that most likely it will be Ritu Taude because the Mahayuti has a comfortable majority in the BMC. On 11th, when the elections happen, her name will be confirmed. We are expecting that maybe from the opposition, Shiv Sena UBT, the Uddhav faction, can also file a nomination so that the election can take place. Today, the nominations are not filed from the Shiv Sena UBT. It will be assumed that Ritu Taude will be elected unopposed. Back to you.
Right, Mustafa. So the two leaders whose names have come to the forefront, Ritu Taude and Sanjay Ghadi, these two, one will be filing in for the mayoral position and the other will be filing for the deputy mayoral position. So if we look at their profiles, 3 years of experience for Ritu Taude as the corporator and also the chairman of the education committee. She's a corporator from Ghatkopar. Sanjay Ghadi on the other side has an experience of 1.25 years. If we could just take a look at the reason behind pushing these two candidates from the Mahayuti side at this point of time.
Can you repeat the question?
If you could just take us through their profiles in terms of experience and the reasons with regards to which they've been pushed forward for these two posts.
Yes, both of them are senior leaders from their respective parties. Ritu Taude's name was among one of the people who could be the mayor nominee from the BJP. Till last moment, there was negotiations between the BJP and Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena has always had their mayor in the BNC, but after 40 years now, BJP will finally be getting their mayor, and it will be Ritu Taude, who is a corporator who has been on the education committee. He is a third-time corporator elected from the eastern suburbs of Mumbai, Ghatkopar, and she has been a long-term worker in the BJP, not coming from affiliation from any party leader or family. So it can be said that a worker, from party worker, has been given a ticket from a nomination from the BJP to file their nomination. And remember, being the Mumbai mayor is a very respectable position, and it will not be wrong to say that there were a lot of people who were lobbying for this post, but it seems somewhere that Ritu Taude has managed to secure you can say the nomination, and she and Sanjay Ghadi will be filing nominations in some time.
Right, this is what we are learning, Mustafa. Mustafa, also in terms of connect with the masses there, where do both these leaders stand? Because they're both young leaders, as we see, in terms of being pushed in the mayoral candidate, and we've seen how the BJP at large as well as the Mahayuti has been pushing forward young candidates to, in fact, take the leadership to the next generation. If you could just throw some light on that as well.
Rightly said that these are corporators who are going to be nominees for the MLAs of Maharashtra or Mumbai in future. So future next leadership is being framed by both the parties, especially the BJP. Very many new faces have come in from the BJP. Many old faces in the BJP remain, and hence you can say that. Keeping in mind that it should be a Marathi face, Ritu Tawde was considered, she is a senior leader, and also because the Shiv Sena UBT has a considerable number in BMC, so it is going to be a strong opposition from the Shiv Sena UBT. Hence, it was decided that in case of firefighting of following orders and balance in the party, Ritu Tawde should be given the nomination, and hence her name has been announced, and it can be said that they are preparing for the future leadership of the BJP to be ready for the next assembly election, and hence with that aim, this entire progress is happening. After 4 years, the BMC is getting an elected body, so whoever is the mayor, a lot of work is expected from them, and hence you can say that it's a very important announcement happening right now, actually.
Right, Mustafa. Well, that is the profile that we see of Ritu Tawde and the reason being pushed forward for this very role. If we look at Sanjay Ghadi as well, this is a leader who's coming in from the Shiv Sena Eknath Shinde faction. He's also quite a young leader that we see with 1.25 years of experience. His tenure has been that much so far. How are we looking at him in terms of a mass leader for this very particular position?
Yes, Shiv Sena was aiming to get a mayoral post. They were not able to get as many numbers though in the BMC election, and hence only 29 corporators elected Shiv Sena Eknath Shinde, and they had to concede their demand to have a mayor. But somewhere was reached to get a deputy. Eknath Shinde wants to give this chance of being a deputy mayor to many corporators in their party, and hence Sanjay Ghadi's tenure has been limited to 1.25 years. A Marathi name from the suburbs of Mumbai, elected 3 times. He is also a senior corporator. So now we'll have to wait and see what positions in the working committee of the BMC which Shiv Sena gets and how the balance of power is made in BMC.
Right, Mustafa. So this is what we're looking at, viewers, at this point of time when we're speaking of the mayoral candidates and the deputy mayoral candidate from the Mahayuti side. If we look at, Mustafa, if we look at the opposition at this point of time, how would we gauge what would be coming up next in terms of candidates they would give up for them against these two?
Yes, Shiv Sena UBT, the faction is only in the position to give opposing candidate. The Shiv Sena UBT has 65 corporators. 24 corporators is the strength of Congress, 7 to 8 corporators of the MIM. So it's a formidable opposition, but it's unlikely that they can form enough numbers for a mayor. So we'll have to wait and see in the few hours. We'll know whether Shiv Sena UBT is giving a mayoral candidate.
Right, and Mustafa, when we speak of the BMC polls this time, it's very clear that one thing was being very strongly focused upon. That is a female mayoral candidate for Mumbai this time. And that is where we see the Mahayuti pushing in a Ritu Tawde with the kind of experience she has and the mass connect she has. And that is something the Shiv Sena UBT had also spoken about, that they are going to push forward a female candidate for this very position.
Mumbai has been reserved for women. So it was expected that the women open reservation, women candidate will be given for the Mumbai mayoral post. There were many names which were being discussed, and it seems that finally the name of Ritu Tawde has been finalized.
The BMC is one of the richest civic bodies of the country when we speak of it. We saw the polls that took place almost 8 years later in this particular city for that very civic body. When we speak of Ritu Tawde filing in that nomination, viewers, those are the very visuals that we bring to you on the left of our screens. This is, given that this is the richest civic body of our country, How are we looking at the experience levels that each of these leaders are bringing in? Okay, we'll get that connection back with Mustafa Sheikh at this point of time. But yes, as Mustafa was speaking of, we've looked at a mayoral candidate and the speculations over the mayoral candidates from either sides. Of course, the push was from the Shiv Sena UBT side initially for a female mayoral candidate, and that's something that's been kept in mind by the Mahayuti when in fact naming their own candidate who was to file in the nomination, and that's where Ritu Taude comes in. If we speak of Sanjay Ghadi, there was a formula that was in fact struck, or rather a deal that was struck between the allies within the Mahayuti, that while the mayoral candidate will be from the BJP, it will be the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena that will be in fact pushing forward the deputy mayoral candidate, and that's how we see the division being done, or rather the power sharing being done. Sanjay Ghadi and Ritu Taude being pushed in as the respective candidates for the post of deputy mayor and mayor respectively. Now, this comes in right after a sweeping victory for the BJP-led Mahayuti in Mumbai, and a historic one at that as well, that we had seen 9 years later, the richest civic body of our country that in fact gets a new administrator handling things from Mumbai, and that would be the Mahayuti. So it is a triple-engine sarkar that we see in the state of Maharashtra, but specifically in the city of Mumbai at this point of time. And now with these mayoral candidates being pushed out, we have to keep a close watch as to how the Shiv Sena UBT also push in their own candidates at this point of time, and the battle and the contest that in fact ensues between both sides. But for now, it is these two candidates which we're learning. Again, remember, for the mayoral position, there were 3 candidates that had in fact been named, all female candidates that had been named to take up, or rather to contest and file in nominations, out of which Ritu Taude has been given a push. And if we look at it, they're young leaders, and that is something the BJP has been very focused on, especially across states at this point of time, to push forward the young leaders to become faces, to become to take up positions of responsibility, to in fact form a next generation of leaders and faces that will be leading from right at the front. And that is where we see their nomination in fact ticking all those boxes at this point of time. Sanjay Ghadi, Shiv Sena deputy mayoral nominee, and Ritu Taude, the Mahayuti mayoral nominee at this point of time. This is what we are learning, viewers, and this is our very focus at this point of time. And again, we were just mentioning